We're delighted to bring you tonight's webinar on social media for farm excellence. So we should just be able to start with a goal to see if anyone is already using social media. So you'll see it come up on your screen. So if you just choose yes or no, and we'll come back to that in a minute. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to answer that whilst I introduce everyone else. So we have our digital manager, Elena, who's working behind the scenes and will endeavour to keep the webinar running as smoothly as possible. But do bear with us if you encounter any technical difficulties. And we've also got Emma Walker, who's the Beef and Lamb Marcoms manager, familiar to some of you, and she's here to answer any questions related to farm excellence at the end of the webinar. So just to let you know, you'll stay muted throughout, but if anyone would like to ask a question, please type it in the question box on the left-hand side of your screen, and we'll come back to these later on. Okay, so without much further ado, we'll get started. So we will run through tonight's agenda. So the webinar will last between 40 and 45 minutes, and we'll have time for questions on top of that at the end, so we'll aim to finish within an hour. We're going to cover social media and agriculture, so hopefully that's why everyone is here. So we're going to look at why farmers should use social media. We're going to look at the key social media platforms to consider joining. These include Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. We're going to look at responding to negativity on social media, farm excellence on social media, finally AHDB on social media, and then we'll come back to some questions at the end. So we should have hopefully some answers from the poll. So yeah, it looks like there's 70% of you using social media, so that's great, and hopefully we'll get that to 100% by the end of tonight. So I'll just hand over now to Peggy Sue to talk about social media in agriculture.
Right then, so let's get started with a brief introduction on the use of social media in agriculture. One of the key questions you may be asking, which is why you've joined this webinar today, is why should farmers even be using social media? There are four main benefits of using it and the social channels that we're going to talk you through today. The first is education. Through social media, you have the power to reach people you may not otherwise have been able to reach, and with this comes the power to be able to educate people on farming. Our second point is that it provides a great opportunity to learn from the industry and other farmers who are sharing their farming experiences. You can not only share your ways of working, but also ask for advice from the community or offer your expertise. Another reason is it poses a fantastic platform to promote yourself, your business, and push the positive messages the industry so desperately needs. Our final point is the networking it offers to a growing community of farmers who are on social media trying to do all of the great things I've just mentioned and much more. You'll see in the next few slides that there's a lot of conversation on farming and agriculture, and you can be a part of, but also create yourself. Just going back slightly. So I picked out quite a nice quote here from Farmers Guardian. So anybody can have a digital presence, but it only takes one picture, post or tweet to make people start talking and seriously elevate your status. Just some food for thought as we go through today's webinar.
Okay, so who are the farmers on social media and what do they think of it? So we've got here Will Evans, who's the host of Rock and Roll Farming. I'm sure you're all aware of this. It's a very popular podcast. And we asked him why he uses social media. And it's quite a nice quote from Will, summarising all the positive reasons and benefits for farmers to be on social, and that these positives go way beyond just farmer learning. But we won't pretend there aren't negatives, but we'll come back to some of those later on. Okay, so as we've already mentioned, there's a huge amount of conversations that you can be a part of online. There's just a few examples of these here and the type of content that is shared on social media. So for example, we've got a tweet here from Herdwick Shepherd, who uses Twitter to educate people on his favourite breed of sheep, and has gone on to write a book which is not only read by people in farming, but also the general public. We've also got an example here from Abby Reader. She's a great ambassador for the dairy industry with her hashtag Cows on Tour. And the Barker Boys, who are one of our strategic farmers, with their hashtag Saw My Undies challenge and tweets. And these are all great examples of farmers using social media to promote and celebrate the industry. and should also inspire you when you're creating some of your own content. So handing over to Peggy Sue again.
We've just profiled a few of the online communities here that you may already be aware of. So Club Hectare is a Twitter community. It's a support network that has recently celebrated its 4th anniversary. It's 400 members plus exchange farm-related news, views and information on Twitter using the Club Hectare hashtag, and it's a great one to get involved in. Arable Men, It's in the Soil is a Facebook page. So one of the most successful arable Facebook pages out there with over 42,000 followers. It shares everything to do with arable farm from the very big to the really small. Girl About the Farm. So the girl who's behind this Instagram account actually quit her job in marketing, I think it was just over a year ago now, and has become a full-time farmer with her husband. And she basically shares the everyday moments of what it's like learning to be a farmer from scratch. She documents all of this through social media, and it's quite an honest view, which is quite refreshing to see. Social medias to consider joining. So we're moving on to the ones that we think for the industry we're in and the people we'd like to engage with that you should consider joining. And we're not saying that you have to do all 3, but as we go through the webinar, you might think one is more suitable for you than the other. Facebook, Twitter and Instagram are the 3 we're going to focus on. We know that some people on this evening's webinar are literally starting from scratch, so we're taking it right back to the basics, but we won't try to dwell on it, those bits too much. But first off, we're going to look at Twitter. We've got a few stats here on Twitter to give you some idea of the scale of the social media platform. It's a great way for fast, interactive communication, and because of this, it's often used for breaking news. It's a great way to learn new things and share ideas as well as problem solve, and it's wonderfully used to raise awareness and bring about good change. It's really simple to set up an account. Just simply go to twitter.com or download the app from the App Store. Choose a handle, which is just your Twitter name and has an @ symbol before it. Use a profile picture that puts a face to the name and try to make it something that's quite central, as you'll see that the Twitter avatar, which is your profile picture, is a circular shape. Your bio description should give a brief overview of who you are and give people a reason to want to follow you. Always keep that in mind. It will be here that you can mention that you're an AHDB strategic farmer or a monitor farmer. And you can also include your location and website here. Now you're set up, so I guess, how do you use Twitter? We've concentrated on using desktop here just because it's easier and bigger to show you what's what, but if you're accessing it from your phone, it's an almost identical layout, if not simpler. Navigating the homepage, so it is quite simple. So on the left here, really quickly, you've got your home, which is your main navigation screen. Going along, you've then got moments, which is almost like a newsreel of all the latest things that are going on in the world that you can keep track of. Notifications, this is where you'll get all your alerts to let you know that you've had your engagement come through and to let you know there's something for you to review. Messages, this is where you have your direct messages, or commonly known as DMs. So this is messages that is only between you and the person that you're communicating with via this way. Down the left as well, you've got your simple top level stats of tweets, following and followers, and then trends for you. So these are the topics that are currently trending based on your account. So you can actually change this based on your location just by clicking on the change bit and then adding in your location bit to the search bar there. And this is quite handy if you want to know what's going on in your local area. And it's quite handy if there's like Twitter chats that are relevant to where you are, and also for the industry as well that you're in. In the middle, you have your news feed, so you can scroll up and down through this and you can see any engagement and all the posts of the people that you're following. And then on the top right, we've got our profile image, which is how you access your profile page and also your settings and anything to do with that side of things. And then you've got your tweet button, which is obviously where you do your tweets. Navigating your profile, so you can access your profile by going through the profile image on the home page. Quite simple. You've obviously got the top bit, which is your header image that we mentioned at the start, and your profile avatar, which is your profile image. Down the left, you can see all the information you will have inputted during the setup process, including when you actually joined the channel as well. Down the middle, you've got your news feed. So the tweet section is all of the tweets that you've sent out, and all of the retweets that you've also shared with your followers. And then the tweets and replies is where you've only had communication with someone using the @ symbol when it's at the start of the tweet. So the idea behind this is that if you're having a conversation with someone and you've got lots of tweets going to and fro between each other, they'll just appear in this and they won't appear in everyone's news feed, so you're not clogging up for everything that you're saying. And then you've got media, which is obviously where all your photos and videos are kept. If you want to edit your profile after you set up everything, then you've just got the little tab on the right which you can access. Along the top there, the ones that probably are worth me just quickly going through are the likes. So that's when you, when on a tweet, when you click the little heart, they'll all be logged in the like section here, so you can access them again here. And lists as well. So lists are quite handy to set up if you want to keep track of a certain group of people, or if there are any publications that you want to keep track of. So you could add in Farmers Weekly, Farmers Guardian, all the typical ones in there, so you don't have to go on their individual profiles to see what they're sharing. Now on to actually sending a tweet. So you have 280 characters to play with here, but you don't necessarily have to use all of these. Try to keep it shorter if possible, so it's easy read if someone's quickly scrolling through their newsfeed. We've just got a short video here just to show you really quickly on how you can go about doing this. If you want to add in a web link, we recommend using something called Bitly, which is spelled bit.ly. And this really simply just shortens the link, so it uses less characters. It also lets you see how many people have clicked on it, which is good if you're quite interested to see that if you shared a page to your website, for example, how many of those people were coming from social media. You can add in a photo or video, a GIF, which is a short animated video, a poll, and your location, which probably won't be necessary. The plus button next to the tweet lets you create a series of tweets which are related to each other. This is particularly good if you're discussing a topic which requires a number of tweets to share the info, links or images, and a video. So here you can just see where we've added in that Bitly link, and really simply, it just lets you use your character count to its full ability. You can also choose if you'd like to tag someone. This is great if you want someone to notice a tweet but it's relevant to them. So or that it involves them, or you want to give them a little nudge to engage with it, but you don't want to mention them in the body of the tweet. Before you hit tweet, just check that you're within the character count. The little blue circle that we showed just now will tell you if you're over and won't let you send it until you're within the 28 characters. The hashtag is one of the most recognised social media terms these days, and is not limited to just on Twitter. In 2010, it was actually added to the Oxford Dictionary and the Scrabble Dictionary in 2014. A hashtag makes your content discoverable and allows you to connect with and engage other social media users based on a common theme or interest. So the example that we've got here is hashtag farm365. It's one that's commonly used when sharing content specifically to do with farming. And you see here that it's quite often used with a number of other hashtags to help increase the reach of the content and also your chances of people seeing your tweet. I wouldn't recommend using more than 3 hashtags per tweet, as they'll completely eat into your character count. And you'll see on the next slide that there are so many that you could be using. Here is not an exhaustive list by no means of some of the hashtags that are used by farmers and people talk about agriculture on Twitter. It does depend on what you're tweeting about and who you want to see it, but these are some of the more commonly used ones, and they're likely to change as new ones get introduced, so it's worth keeping note of what other people are using and the type of engagement that they receive when using them. You might find that one is getting more engagement than another. Hashtag allowing 18 will probably be a popular one around this time, and if you click through on this one, you can quite easily get lost through loads of hashtags and see what people are sharing of nice looking names. So on to engagement. There are a number of ways that you can engage with a tweet. Along the bottom, you have a few options, which are to reply to the tweet, retweet or retweet and include a comment, like and direct message. This lets you DM the tweet to anyone you follow or reply to the person that's tweeted it if you don't want it to be public. To mention someone in a tweet or a DM, you simply use the @ symbol, which you can also see on this tweet as well. Success on Twitter is not just about the content you're posting, but also what you're engaging with and how you engage. Farmer to farmer learning is something we feel quite strongly about, and Twitter has proved a brilliant way to do this. Showing support through a retweet and a like is just the basic level of doing this, but you can reply with video or images, as well as retweeting a message with your own message attached to it. A nice community of farmers is building on Twitter who are supporting each other in a number of ways. If you're one of the more established accounts, think about giving a shout out to some of the new ones to give them some exposure. Now on to what does good content actually look like. I guess what's going to get you noticed and what's going to get people engaging with you. We've got a few examples here of particularly good tweets that have been shared by the farming and agriculture community. We have a combination of content examples here. So we've got Richard Meredith, who is one of our cereals and oilseeds knowledge exchange managers. He recently got one of his monitor farmers to film a short video on his iPhone to promote the next meeting. The video had over 1,000 views and was a great alternative to promoting the meeting and share a lot of information when your characters are quite limited. Will Evans, who we heard from earlier, uses Twitter to promote the Rock and Roll Farming podcast. He often tags the person that features on the episode and uses Rock and Roll Farming hashtag along with it. Herdwick Shepherd is another great example of someone who uses Twitter to educate people who aren't necessarily in farming or exposed to the reality of farming by sharing content of his day-to-day life on the farm. On the bottom right, you'll see a tweet from Farmer Tom. He recently joined forces with NFU Education and their Breakfast Week campaign, which has him FaceTime a group of school children to show them around his farm and educate them on where their breakfast come from. It receives a huge amount of interest on Twitter and was positively received by many outsiders to farm as an effective way to promote the origin of food. Growing a following is just part of building your Twitter presence, and we have a few do's and don'ts on how you can achieve this. Follow people with similar interests to you. They're likely to follow you back if they like what you're posting. Use keywords and hashtags to find relevant people to follow. Think about this as well when you're writing your bio and what people will be searching for. Take a look at the following and follow a list of people and organisations you're interested in, and they're probably going to be interested in people that you'd likely want to follow. Don't be silent. Engage with people so they notice and follow you. Focus on quality over quantity. If you don't have anything to share, try asking a question instead. If you do get engagement, make the effort to respond and continue the conversation. If you tweet, retweet, like and respond, you're on the right path to building a following, and you don't have to spend hours doing it either. Posting once a day, even if that's just a retweet, means your feed is active. A few things to consider not doing is griping or whinging. It's quite easy to use Twitter as a venting platform, but remember, everything you say represents not just yourself, but also your business and the industry. Don't overuse hashtags. There's 3 is quite sufficient. Don't sign up to Twitter and go on a following spree. If you follow over 100 people a day, Twitter will think you're a spam bot and will suspend your account. A common one is to send auto DMs, particularly when someone follows you. A personalised response, if one at all is needed, is much better, as you don't need to thank every new follower that you receive. And lastly, as we've already mentioned, you don't need to spend hours on Twitter to grow a following. Once you've got the hang of it, you'll be able to use it much more efficiently, so it doesn't take up too much of a day. You just regularly check in. We've just got a quick short list here of just some of the checklist things that you can go through of what will make you successful. The key question to ask yourself when sharing content is, would you stop to engage with this if you saw it in your feed? If the answer is no, think about the language you're using, the images, the video, the hashtags you've included, and most importantly, who you want to see it. It's most likely going to be you, so always keep asking yourself that question, would I engage with this? So when you keep it short, when you can, keep it short, and where possible, use images and video. Let your personally shine through is what will make your feed much more interesting. Use relevant hashtags to extend the reach of your tweets. Ask questions, but don't forget to also answer them. When retweeting and replying to tweets, remember it is public and what you say reflects back on you. And even if you delete something, the internet has a magic way of never actually deleting everything permanently.
So, I know the presentation's jumping around a little bit. I think that's the timings we tried to put on earlier, so we know how fast we were going through. So we'll start now with a very basic sort of introduction to Facebook. Now, I'm sure most people will actually have heard of Facebook, and it began back in 2004, and it's grown into one of the largest social media platforms. And there's actually over 2 billion monthly users, so it really is huge. So at a very basic level, Facebook allows you to post updates and upload photos either publicly or privately to your friends, and you can join groups, fan or business pages, and network with other users that have similar interests to yourself. Facebook launched Facebook Live in 2016, and that's its live video streaming service, and that lets anyone broadcast from their mobile device straight to their newsfeed. So we're seeing a lot more of that this year so far. And Facebook is constantly perfecting its newsfeed and making changes, so only the most relevant posts now are shown to users, which means that updates from friends and family are being prioritised on users' timelines. And what you might not know about Facebook is that there are actually 2 types of account that you can have, and these are profiles and pages. So a Facebook profile, as we said here, is your represents yourself, so it's where you can share personal updates, and whereas a business page represents your business and stay connected to your customers. So just to give you a bit more detail on those types of accounts, the profile, as I said, is your personal account on Facebook. This is a place where you can add friends and family members and communicate on a personal level. An example of one here is on the left. And then on the right of the screen, a business page. So this is a business account and represents your company online. It allows businesses to quickly grow an online following. And if you plan to post content for profit, you should set up a Facebook business page for that. So how to set up an account. If you've not already got a Facebook account, go to facebook.com, fill out the necessary fields. And if you were to set up a business page instead, then there's the link at the bottom just shows you how to do that. And we'll just run through a business page now. So you set up your business page, and this is what it is going to look like. There are different tabs on the left of the page here. So these include the posts, reviews of your business, videos and photos that you've uploaded, and groups that you're members of. Along the top, the toolbar shows the page inbox. So that's where you get private messages, notifications, insights, and your publishing tools. And you can also see settings and help. So in the center, here is where you can compose your message and the different content types available. So you can add video or run a poll or an event. You can access analytics through your homepage, but this is something we'll cover in a future webinar because it's a little bit more advanced than we're going into today. And then further down on the right, you'll see the about details. And if you complete these in full, then that will really optimize your page to get some good engagement. You might want to consider using Business Manager to organize and manage a business page on Facebook. It's a free built-in tool, and it allows you admin access to your page, add accounts associated with the page, and people who have assigned page roles. But we'll cover more on Facebook advertising in a future webinar because it's slightly more advanced stuff. Okay, so here we have an example of composing a Facebook post. So you use the compose message box on your page and you can share content including images, video and a URL. And this is an example of a post we've sent. So you can see from this that we've mentioned Brend Hotels and QSM Beef and Lamb. And to mention a user, just use the @ symbol before typing their name and selecting the profile from the drop-down list that will appear. This is really similar to Twitter. And this will create a link to their page in your post, as well as the user receiving a notification that they've been mentioned. And you can publish or schedule your post using the blue button at the bottom of the post. Okay, so now we'll go through how to best use Facebook. So starting with, what does good content look like? So here are just a few examples of some of the content which has received really good engagement on Facebook. So on the top left, you can see Arable Men, It's in the Soil, which we mentioned earlier. They ask questions and they get some good, feedback in responses. You can also use images, so use really captivating and eye-catching imagery to really stand out. And this is where you could use photos from your farm or what you're working on, and also to show the reality of life on a farm. So as they have done here, we've got some images from an event or from lambing. So yeah, loads of great content. Okay, so here are sort of top tips on how to be successful on Facebook. So first off, do use really captivating images to inspire your followers. Do engage with your followers and ask questions around polls. You can use Facebook essentially to do your own market research, but you just have to be prepared to respond to the questions that you might get. We also suggest following pages that are similar to yours. These businesses are likely to have the same audience as you, so it's a great way to become visible to their audience and expand your following. We suggest posting 4 to 5 times a week, or more often, but just make sure you post regularly. Experiment with posting at different times a day, although to be honest, when you're online, your audience is likely to be online too, so that's probably the best time for you to post. And finally, do use your personality. Remember, the page does reflect you and your business, but you want to show yourself and your business in a good light, and be approachable and sound like you're a regular person. So things we suggest you don't do would be posting personal content on a business page. Don't overshare third-party content, and don't spend hours on Facebook. As we said, you just don't need to. You can really, once you get the hang of it, posting a couple of times a week doesn't take that much time. Okay, so finally, just some best practice for Facebook. So much as we've said before, short and compelling posts are best, but unlike Twitter, there's no word limit on your post, but you should just be brief enough to be read on the go. Post quality content, as we've said, a few times a week, whenever you have something to share or when the mood takes you. Interact with your audience by asking questions or using polls, and use images, videos or GIFs wherever possible to enhance your posts and really make them stand out on people's timelines so that they will stop and interact with you rather than just scrolling by. As we said, connect to similar pages so you could potentially collaborate with them, and share relevant third-party content occasionally.
So the final channel that we're going to focus on is Instagram. Instagram is one of the world's fastest growing social media platforms and can be likened to a simplified version of Facebook that has an emphasis on sharing photos and videos from a smartphone. Interestingly, Facebook actually acquired the company back in 2012, so we're seeing similarities between the two and algorithm changes. You can access Instagram from a desktop, but you can only upload and share photos or videos from your mobile. Something that has made Instagram such a popular channel is its picture editing functionality, which are the different filters that can be used to enhance the look of a photo. It can basically turn a pretty average looking photo into something that looks much more attractive and sometimes even quite professional looking. You'll find that the most popular social channels have similar functions and learn from each other, so you will see that we've mentioned a few things which are common amongst all of the channels we've discussed today. You can access Instagram either through instagram.com or on the App Store. I'd recommend going through the App Store as this is a platform that is designed to be used on a mobile. You can see on the screen grab here that there are a number of ways you can create an account, including using an existing Facebook profile. So with one click, it will use the data on Facebook to quickly set up your profile with the correct information. There isn't a huge amount to do when setting up Instagram, but you will need to add in your name, profile photos, and a short bio, as well as a website link if you have one. Remember that when you're writing your bio, you're giving people a reason to want to follow you. So also think about some of the keywords and hashtags that we've previously discussed. When setting up your Instagram profile, you may decide that you want to set it up as a business profile, quite similar to Facebook, rather than just a personal one. You can see in the screenshots here that when using a business account, it gives the option for people to call and email you, as well as the directions of where to find you. This is particularly good if you have different elements to your farming business. So if you have like a wedding venue or farm shop or holiday cottages, for example. Here are some good examples of what a good profile looks like. You'll see how they've given a clear description of what they do and where they do it. It's really easy to set up a business profile. So once you've created your account, click on the small cog on your profile page and select the Switch to Business Profile tab, and it will take you through a series of steps to confirm your page. You will need a Facebook business page to do this, but if you don't have one, Instagram will create one for you in the process. Okay, so on to using Instagram. So we've just got a little demo video here of just navigating through Instagram. So you have your feed, which is all of the people that you follow on Instagram. So this is how you'd engage with them as well. You then have the Explore tab. This is all based on people that you follow, what you're interested in, what you're interacting with. You can then use the search to look at different things that you're interested in. So when we type in farming, we can see the top results for that. You can then look at this based on people, tags, places, and oh, sorry, we'll just play that again because it stopped. You can use the hashtag similar to how you would with Twitter to just basically find content that's similar to what you're posting and see what other people are posting about to give inspiration for your own content. It's also quite handy to look at this when doing your profile name as well, because you'll see that a few people like Farmer Tom have farmer in their name, which is quite handy to then find people. And then when we go into tags, you can see all of the different hashtags which are related to farming. And then we also have places, which if you were looking for Herefordshire or something like that, then you could quite easily just find these. Oh, sorry, we're just having a technical.
We'll get there.
Yeah, so places, so if you're looking for a specific place. Adding images, so you can go through your camera roll or you can take one directly through your camera. You can also add videos in going through this way as well. So it doesn't quite matter at this stage what your photo looks like because the editing capabilities are really great with Instagram. The heart tab is all your notifications. This lets you see all the engagement that you have coming through, and it also lets you see the people that you're following, what they're also up to. And then the last tab is your profile. So this is everything that you've been up to, and it's also how you can access to edit your profile and have a look through that way. Think of Instagram as visual storytelling, and I guess the old saying, a picture speaks 1,000 words. You can post directly through the app or from existing photos and videos on your mobile, and you can post videos up to 60 seconds long. And there's a whole bunch of extra filter options, plus the ability to tweak and edit. It's all about using great images with some text to expand on the story that is already being told by the image. Instagram has up to 23 filters you can choose to apply to both photos and videos, as well as the feature to edit adjustments, brightness, contrast, and structure. It's easy to get overwhelmed by all of its capabilities, but keep it simple. We've got a few examples here of the type of content that is being shared by farmers, and it's typically material of them going about their day-to-day work and just taking a snap along the way. What may be a daily occurrence to others, it's actually a snapshot of what it's like to be a farmer or what it's like to farm in different areas of the country. Similar to Twitter and Facebook, it's also a great opportunity to share best practice and learnings. I wouldn't overthink the type of photos that you take, and if you're stuck for time, you can always take a few shots and look back over them later on. One consideration is that once you've decided what your focal point or prime subject is, think about where this sits in the photo and how the background fits into that. Try a few different angles, see what looks the most appealing, and if the lighting or colours could do with enhancing, you can use the great filters that Instagram has to do this. With Instagram, you can also write a lot more than what you would on Facebook or Twitter, which comes back to the idea of it being storytelling. You'll see how the captions are much more detailed and give greater context. You notice that there's a much bigger focus on using hashtags with the post, which is really important if you want to extend the reach of your content. There isn't really a limit on how many you can use, but if you don't want to include them in the caption, as it can sometimes look a bit too busy, you can add them as a comment instead. You're typically going to be using the same hashtags with each of your posts, so you could save a list on the notes section of your phone and copy and paste these in every time you post, rather than having to type them out separately every time. Similar to Twitter, Instagram has hashtags which categorize content and helps users discover content and accounts to follow. Adding hashtags to your post will make it appear to anyone searching for the hashtag. You can choose to follow hashtags so tagged content appears on your feed even when you're not necessarily following the person that's posted it. If you're unsure of whether a hashtag is appropriate for your post, then browse through the tag content before you use it to see if your content is similar or is appropriate. The more visually appealing your picture is, the more people are going to be attracted to it and therefore likely to follow you to see other similar images that you post in future. Instagram filters can enhance your images by making them appear brighter, intensified, monochrome, nostalgic. There's so many more things that it could do. Experiment with using filters, however, don't overuse them, as this will make your profile appear chaotic. If you find one or two you like, use them to give your grid a consistent look and feel. You'll notice that the more established Instagram accounts have a style to their photos which they try and emulate through filters. You can see on this slide how the different filters available can change an image and have the ability to make anyone look like a professional photographer. Once you've picked a filter, you can then change the brightness, contrast, highlights, you name it. One of Instagram's most useful features is called Stories, with over 250 million people using it every day. So why use Stories over posting on your feed? Instead of using posting of carefully chosen single photos or videos, Stories lets you post a bunch of photos and videos that play like a slideshow. After 24 hours, those photos or videos will completely disappear. So if you're familiar with Snapchat, it's quite a similar feature to this. To use Instagram Stories, you simply tap the plus button on the top left side of your home screen or swipe it left. Tap the circle button at the bottom of the screen to take photos and tap and hold to record a video. You can add photos or videos from your gallery, and you can edit these with text or add a drawing. You can see here that you can use different fonts, colours, effects, as well as tag people in your story. Similar to how you would on Twitter or Facebook, simply include the @ symbol followed by the username to tag someone, and you can tag up to 10 people. You can send the image to one of your friends, but the image will disappear as soon as your friend sees it, similar to Snapchat. You can add more than one photo or video to your story, and they will be replayed in chronological order from oldest to newest. A colourful circle will appear around your profile photo to let followers know you have a story, and your profile picture will also pop up at the top of your followers' feeds. All they need to do is tap on your face to see your story. You could also send visual reactions by tapping on the camera icon and then taking a photo or video. If you're curious to see who's looking at your story, you'll see at the bottom of the screen there'll be a view counter and the names of the people who viewed it, but only you can see this. You also see here that we've shown you how you can actually, if you wanted to block someone or if someone is spamming you, then you can also report them if you didn't want them to look at your story or your feed anymore. The following tips can help you make the best of your own Instagram experience so you can grow your followers and increase engagement. High quality looking photos with a lot of colour tend to get more engagement. Instagram has a bunch of filters you can apply to your photos to automatically enhance the look and style. And whilst people want photos and videos that are colourful, they also want to see something that is relatively natural looking. Use hashtags to increase your reach, which will attract more engagement and new followers. The photos that are shown in the Explore tab are tailored to you according to the photos and videos that have been liked or commented on by people you follow. So you can find new users to follow and engage by checking out this tab regularly. To keep followers engaged, you need to post new content on a regular basis. That doesn't mean you need to be posting 10 photos a day. In fact, posting once a day or at least once every other day should be frequent enough to keep your current followers interested. Don't ignore followers who regularly like and comment on your photos. Reply to their comments, even go and check out their account and like a few of their posts. Interacting with your current followers is always recommended, but the more people you reach out to, the better. Doing a shout out with another account in the same follower range is a great way to reach more people. You can either agree with another user to give each other a shout out or do a follow Friday where you mention another account on your feed.
Okay, so that really is a whistle-stop tour of the sort of 3 platforms that you might want to consider joining. And so social media is all about, as we've said on each channel, really engaging and interacting with your audience. And unfortunately, part of that engagement could be negative. It's all part of the game, basically. So we just go through here. This has come from Farmers Weekly, and basically it may be possible that you'll come across some negativity towards the farming industry on social media. There are anti-livestock farming groups, and they're really vocal on social media as they try to persuade the general public to boycott the meat and dairy industries in particular. I wouldn't be deterred by this, but use it as an opportunity instead to educate consumers about the truths of the industry with facts. So the main thing to remember is not to get distracted by the negativity and be part of the positive conversations instead. And this, we've just put together really a bit of a thought process here. So don't feel that you have to respond to every comment you receive, as it can be time consuming and tiresome to do that. But if you do decide to respond, just use this as a guide on your thought process as to whether it would be appropriate or not. Okay, and so we've just got a couple of examples here of how you can respond to negativity without a direct response. So George Hook, he used a video to give a tour of his milking parlour as a response to some negativity about on the dairy industry. And it got a huge amount of attraction, this video, but for all the right reasons. And it's a great way of bringing the farming community together. Okay, and so now we're just going to talk briefly about farm excellence on social media. And here are some examples of the great farm excellence content that is already out there. So what should you share about farm excellence? Well, really, posts that include farm updates. So you can share with your followers, photos and videos of on-farm progress. You can share images with target areas that you're making improvements on so your followers can track your progress. Ask questions, ask your followers for your advice. I'm sure they really like to feel like they can contribute. You can promote events, so tell your followers about any open events or meetings that are taking place on your farm. And you can reuse AHDB content. So retweet or share some AHDB content on the projects you're involved with or general farm excellence updates. And so farm excellence, some key hashtags really. So as you get more familiar with Twitter, you'll see these cropping up all the time. So we've got seven key ones here, but don't worry about taking note of this because we'll send the presentation around afterwards.
Finally, we thought we'd just give you a quick overview of where you can find AHDB on social media. So here very quickly is just some of the accounts that you can find us on. We've also included some of our consumer accounts, such as like Love Pork and Simply Beef and Lamb, which is where we try and educate consumers on how they can use the meat within their daily cooking. And so that's everything we wanted to cover tonight. Thank you for staying with us to the end.
If you are, if you are still here.
We've recorded the presentation and we will email a link to you all to watch it back at your leisure. We'll take some questions now, so we'll just have a look at the question box to see if there's anything that's come through. So we've had one from Ian. So when you use Facebook, what should we use for AHDB, i.e. #BeefandLamb? So Beef and Lamb actually have their own Facebook page. So when you're typing out your post, if you use the @ symbol rather than the hashtag, the Beef and Lamb team will know that you've mentioned them within the post. So they'll get a notification to say that you've included that. And then if anyone was interested in finding more about Beef and Lamb, they can quite simply click on that link and then it will take them through to that. So we've also had one from Ian Robertson. What can't you do on a business page? I've heard you can't promote anything or put on competitions or advertise for staff. If anything, you can do all of that. You can't do that on a profile page, which might be where the confusion is. So a business page lets you promote any of your posts. So that's basically where you use Facebook advertising to boost your post. So you just need a little bit of money to basically increase the awareness of the post that you've got going out there. Richard Tucker. So how is the best way to deal with trolls?
That's a really good question, Richard. So I think really it goes back to that sort of decision tree that we've come up with. So we'll send that out to you. But basically, it's a question of you don't have to respond to them, and actually on many occasions it's best not to. Really you don't want to get into an argument publicly, because everyone will see that. If you feel a response is necessary, that you could always try and take it offline. So you could say, DM me for more information or more details. But really, it's just choosing whether it's necessary to respond or not. I don't know if you've got.
I think the examples that we showed earlier of how it's inevitable that there is going to be some negativity about farming on social media. And it's such a public way for people to share those negative feelings, but it's how farmers respond, which is actually what fuels that conversation sometimes. So some people are quite guilty of, and quite rightly, getting quite passionate about the industry and letting their emotions, I guess, take over their response. But actually, if you look at the examples where we showed that where we're doing tours around milking parlours, and actually the farmers are not responding directly, but actually just showing that what these views are, they're wrong, and actually the evidence is based in these new tweets, this new content that they've got, that they're posting about. And I guess it always comes back to, don't forget that whenever you're posting, it not just reflects on you, it reflects on your business, and it also reflects on the farming industry in general. And just keep thinking about that, and maybe take a step back when you've seen something, have a breather, and then come back to stop you from saying anything you might regret a bit later on.
Absolutely.
I think just to add in there from an AHDB perspective, I know on the Beef and Lamb account, you won't see us probably respond to negativity. So if you are looking at our AHDB accounts and wondering why we don't respond to some of them, it is simply just not to raise to that level. And we'd rather push out content that people enjoy and that people can retweet and dispel the rumours that the others might be sharing on social media as well. Sorry to add in there.
I think that's all we have for questions. So we'd just like to again say thank you so much for joining our webinar tonight. We hope you've enjoyed it and feel inspired to get on social media. We will be checking. Keep an eye out for the email with the presentation recorded, and don't forget you can get in touch with us by tweeting @the AHDB if you have any questions. Thanks again and goodbye.